Happy Easter, everybody, and welcome to the replay. I've got a super cute birthday card to make today. It's going to have several different layers and components, but it's still going to be what I think should be an easy to replicate card. So first, we'll start off with our card base, standard 5.5 by 4.25 white card. A pattern paper that's going to measure the same thing, 5.5 by 4.25, because it's going to completely cover the front of the card. Then a white piece of cardstock measuring 4 inches by 5.25, so it'll have a little bit of a border going all the way around. Then a colored piece of cardstock, coordinating, of course, at 3 3/4 width by 5 inches tall. That's going to go here. I've also got a piece of foam. It comes in sheets about 5.5 by 8.5, and one side of it does have adhesive. You can get this in your craft section at Walmart. And I just cut it to a little bit smaller than my colored cardstock because I'm going to adhere it to the back and then put it between the layers so that it acts like a big piece of foam tape. It's essentially the same thing, but I want it to be almost the width of the cardstock so that there won't be any squishy parts that fall flat or bend or anything. It'll just give it some more stability. And then a smaller piece, I think this is like 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 of also coordinating cardstock, because we are going to cut a circle out of this and then back it with that cardstock to have a little bit of a different view, like we're looking in a little window. So let's start off by cutting out the circle on our piece of cardstock. So I'm going to use the Cuttlebug. I've got my plates here, and I'm using a little bit of washi on the die so that I can hold it in place, because I don't want it to move around when I put it in the machine. So it doesn't matter. I just want to get it a little bit towards the top because I do want room on the bottom to stamp my sentiment. So let me put in my layers. And I'll just crank it through. There we go. And it cut out perfectly. And here's also a circle. And this circle has a nice dotted border there that you can see. So we'll save this for another card. So when we put this together, this will go in back of it and it'll just be like a little window. But like I said, I want this foam piece to give us a layer so that our window is a little bit higher than that background. Now, that means I have to cut a hole out of this purple, which not a big deal. Just kind of line it up, and with a pencil or pen or whatever you've got on hand, just kind of roughly mark your circle. And then come in, and now just trim it out though a little bit wider than that. So that when this goes on here, you don't see any of that And if you still do, if you think you need a little bit more margin, you can just cut it away. Okay, so now what I want to do is go ahead and take this backing off. Okay, so let's see. And just line it up so that you don't line it up carefully so that you don't have any of your foam showing on your window opening. It's okay if it gets a little tricky. And you know what? Even if you have to trim a little off, just do whatever works. There we go. That works. That works all the way around. That works. That works very well. Okay. Now, we know this piece is going to go in the window. And I want to stamp this piece so that there's some fun going on in the background without it looking just too bland. So I've got this little stamp that says celebrate. I'm going to stick that on my block. And using Canary ink, I like to do tone on tone for background like this because I am going to have a sentiment on the card that that will cover, you know, saying our main thing of happy birthday. Let me just find a little, there we go, little scrap piece to stamp on. And so I'm just going to randomly stamp the word celebrate going off the page. All over. And so you can see there. And let's see, let's put that away. So it just gives our background just a little bit of something to look at. And then I have to adhere on the foam. So put your adhesive on that back, right about where your yellow card is going to be. And just make sure that it covers the window, just like that. Okay. Now we can start building our card. Remember this part, this piece covers the entire card front. And then this white one. Okay. You know what? This would be a good time to stamp our birthday. Happy birthday to you. I'm going to stamp this in a black ink so that it'll really stand out for us. And then on the inside of this card, I have a sentiment to go on the inside that says, and many, many more. We'll just put that up here. There we go. An inside and an outside sentiment. I'm going to, oops, out of adhesive. There we go. And put that there. You know what? My black marker line did go through. And I'm going to be okay with that. Let's go with the flow here, people. Okay. Improvise, improvise. Okay, so now I want to add a little something right up here to go in the middle of that window. And I've got a birthday cake. So here's the stamp set. You can see it's got different layers. And first I'm going to take a pedestal. I'm going to use the Memento black ink because I am going to color it in. And so I don't want the ink to run. Stamp the pedestal. And then I've got the my first layer of cake. Stamp right on top. And then, let's see here. One more layer and then we'll do the candles. Now, I'm looking at this and I'm thinking, is my cake too big for my card? Maybe so. So let's make it a 1-layer cake. There's the pedestal. Here's my cake layer. And here's my little flags. Great. So, let's go to our markers again. And so now we've got some colors to play with. We know our card. Let's try that. So we know we've got our purples, yellow, blue, white. And we'll just color this in. I am sometimes not the best coloring person. but that's okay. I like that the colors, that the inks blend together. Right around those edges, since it is kind of a cartoonish. Let's give it some. Some shadow. Okay. Now, let's color our layers of cake. I know that I have a wide tip to this marker. There's a fine tip and a wide tip, but I don't like coloring with the wide tip. I don't feel like I can control it as well. I feel like the fine tip just gives me that control. I know, I should have had a cake cut out or ready to go ahead, but I really wanted to give y'all like a fresh card. I hadn't done very much pre-planning with it because it was already getting late and I've been having Easter with my family. I'm sure y'all did too. I hope everybody did have a good Easter. Okay. Let's see, let's test out that yellow. Okay. And I think these colors, they look darker when they're wet and then they dry up into a nice smooth color. This one feels like it's starting to dry up on me. Adding to this lighter yellow in it to kind of bring down that brightness, just in case. Okay, now let's just do a little fussy cutting. Like to cut down that paper. I know some of y'all probably thinking, oh, that's a lot of work to make this card, but I mean, look, I've only been on with y'all for a few minutes and we're gonna end up with a birthday card in practically no time. There we go. We're gonna add that right there in the middle. Let me trim out a little more of this white. See, you do this to your heart's content. Now, because this purple is also lifted because of the foam from the yellow, you're going to need some foam tape on the back of your cake. Not a problem. But down here, since it's going to be on the purple part, we can just adhere that flat. Come on. Okay. A little bit there. That was the wrong adhesive. If you could see off to the side right now, my desk is a mess where I'm doing this, but that's okay. So I'm going to put it right there. And we've got a birthday card complete with cake, some dimension. You can see that. All these layers and an inside sentiment. Now, I know this is looking a little messy, right? So right at the point where you put that up, take it off. Just make yourself another card front and replace it. And you know, you'll have a cleaner outcome. But you know what? I'm okay with it. It's a handmade card. And sometimes handmade is not perfect. But I do want to thank you for joining me tonight. I hope everybody had a great Easter holiday. I appreciate your support watching me make cards for 100 days. We're on today's day 5, isn't it? Day 6. Let's see. Just a reminder, let's see. Today is day 6. Yesterday's card. Before that, perk up. Let's go fishing. And a sunflower card. So today was day 6 with the birthday card. And thank you for joining me. I hope to see you tomorrow. And have a good night. Stay safe.